Bienvenido. Bienvenue. Welcome. I don't know how to say it in any other languages, but I really wanted to. Well, welcome to Spirituality 101. So what the hell is this? It's actually been on my heart for a while to I guess just do an intro. I actually have something planned special for you guys tomorrow video that I'm doing with my homegirls, just with some things we all wish we had known as we got into the spiritual awakening things, and hopefully we are able to help you defeat some of the pitfalls that we fell into on this journey, because everybody's is different. But similarities. There are only 12 archetypes. There are only 12 paths to take. So I'm assuming that maybe these scenarios fall along those lines. I also think this is how movies watch. We're all attracted to certain stuff, but I think certain stuff is created for our certain archetype to get messages and stuff. This whole system is tricky, which is why I'm doing this video. Welcome, newbie, so to speak. If you are starting your spiritual awakening, you don't know what the hell is going on. In my story, it started with numbers that I noticed, or I noticed that I get woke up out of my sleep at 3:33 every day, nights in a row. There was one time I went out of town. I had to work. I was a wedding photographer. And I had been woken up, whatever, for a week at 3:33. And I'm like, all right, going to Texas by myself. I was doing a wedding alone. And I was like, I'm finally going to have some fucking sleep. No. I woke up at 3:33 in Dallas too. So at this point, I realized, okay, something is happening here, but I wasn't exactly sure what. So in my case, the awakening process was weird. It was long. I didn't realize that it had went on for years, but it really takes you levels to get out of the mind state of the slave, the person that is here that feels like they have to work every day to be happy and then die on this planet. That is the mindset that is being forced upon us. That sort of is what unravels when you go into awakening. The biggest thing that you need to know about awakening is it's you beginning to understand that yes, you are human currently, but that is not where you begin, and this is not where you end. This is not your only life. A spiritual awakening is literally realizing that we are spiritual beings, immortal, having a human experience. I noticed the ladybug following me everywhere. And this was after years of me playing this weird game with my husband where I'd be like, hey, what would you do if we woke up and this was our life? Because we met in high school. So I was like, it'd be cool. Like, what if high school us woke up right now and everything was different? But there was actually what seemed to be an activation date. I remember I woke up one day, I think this was 2013. I woke up and I felt uncomfortable. I just really felt like everything in this life was off. Excuse me. Hey, babe, I'm recording. Okay, give me a hug so I can finish my video. I love you. You're silly. Everything was off, and I saw my mom that day coincidentally, and I was like, Mom, I feel like I was hungover, and then now like I'm waking up and everything feels weird. It still wasn't the end. That was just me realizing that certain things in my life were wrong. Like, I'm not happy in my life. I don't like my kids' clothes, like really random stuff. Just noticing things in my world were wrong. So that went on for a while. I ended up moving. I got a really nice apartment, got my kids all new clothes. Things changed. I started taking care of myself and realizing that mentality of work to die was not it. I really didn't have any hope for happiness for myself. I was just hoping to get to the end of this life and survive. I will say, honestly, I've always been a lovely character, I guess because of the Leo rising, but that I was really the Joker inside. Like, I was trying to make everybody else happy all the time, and I was completely miserable by the time this awakening had begun. So that was part one of me just improving my life. Still not aware that we're spirits or any of that, even though our whole lives they say, hey, after we die, we go on, we look over it, but you don't think of it that way. It seems like everything sort of kind of in the Bible was told to you in a way that was fairy tale-ish and you didn't take it serious, but that literally is still the blueprint, is still the understanding of everything that's happening here. So I ended up taking a big fall at the peak of my wedding career. It took me out. I was unable to do weddings anymore. I had to send my husband. Things fell apart. But during this process of me practically being in solitary confinement because I couldn't walk, I tore my meniscus. At the time I was 450 pounds. I fell on top of my own knee and it was shredded. I was on crutches for almost 2 years, at least a year and a half. And I still to this day, because that was 2017, I still to this day sort of walk weird because I got so unused to walking. But the ladybug was stalking me like everywhere. Even when I did manage to be able to get out the house, I noticed this ladybug followed me to the bathroom, followed me to weddings. I don't know if it was the same one, but I'm like, okay, this is clearly for a reason. So I looked up ladybug meaning on Google, and it was like spiritual awakening. I was like, what the fuck is a spiritual awakening? Please understand now. I don't know if you already know in your journey, but when you ask the universe a question, your guides will answer. When you Google, they will lead you to the right answer. Even when you look up angel numbers and stuff like that. So the next thing that happened was I decided to take that term and look it up on YouTube, and then that was a whole another ball game. After you sort of step into the hole, it begins like a whole tumble dry of what the fuck is happening next, which is why we're here. I wanted to give you some basic steps for the beginning of this process of understanding that you are now about to integrate. Thank you. Integrate spirit in this human life, doing what you want to and doing what you have to, pretty much. I would say the first thing is meditate. I see so many people who are already into spell work and all these other principles, all these other things they're interested in, and that's great. There's a plethora of things that are going to be interesting to you because like all this stuff is new and life has seemed so boring before this. But meditation is base. There are several ways you can do meditation. Don't let anybody tell you that you literally have to sit there and be quiet. That's not how this works. So anything that gets you out of your head and into your body is a form of meditation. You can do yoga. You can do walking, running, boxing. Also, sitting in silence works, but understand if you're going to do that form of meditation, you are literally sitting there and letting your thoughts fly. This is not about pausing your thoughts, which is torturous to some people, like especially like me because I have ADD. But you can be quiet in your head, let your thoughts fly, let that voice ramble, and then you'll realize that there is a whole nother person listening. Well, you are listening to the voice that's rattling off, because what has happened here is your sim, let's call it that, this human that you're in, has a whole life and identity of its own developed in the ego. The ego is what talks in your head. Like when you get mad, that voice that rattles off, and you get sad, all that stuff. Just the person who is filtering these activities through that. The silent one that is sort of monitoring that you recognize during meditation is you. That's your soul. That's the difference between your ego and your soul. They're both there together, but you can sort of switch it over time through meditation and move your higher self, your soul, in front of your ego. So therefore that big voice that's always rattling off becomes the smaller one, and you can make better decisions, not based on your emotions, not based on the experience of your character, but based on the knowledge of your soul. So meditation is completely round one. The first thing you can do to start your spiritual journey. You realize that everything is based, because as you move on, you'll realize that you have to do meditations. You have to fix your mindset, because spells are short-term fixes for long-term problems. For instance, you can do a spell work for self-love. You're still going to have the same problem again, and you're still going to draw the same type of person. But if you do shadow work to figure out why you don't love yourself, then that's the long-term fix. You pulled up the root of the issue, and therefore you don't have to worry about it resurfacing. Meditation, getting your body right. Like actually, you have to start with your body. You can't just skip like, I have a soul, all right, fuck this body. No. Eating for your chakras, finding out about your chakras. So many other things that I am going to actually go through on this channel. I just really felt like it was important for me to explain what the spiritual awakening process is for you guys, and a good place for you to start. Don't feel like you have to go out and buy every crystal, every oil, because I've been there and done that, and it gets overwhelming. You feel like you have to learn everything, and then you just found a new way to make yourself feel like less than. That is not the goal of this. The goal of this is to feel like I am enough no matter what. It is my God-given right just to be enough. If I just wake the fuck up today and roll over, I am enough. And that is the point of the spiritual awakening, realizing this is just a small part of a long journey that we're going to keep taking after this, and you're developing parts of yourself through this character. On this channel, we're going to go over all this stuff. We're going to get into meditations. I'm going to add some of my own on here. Working to change your mindset. I'm not going to have you buying a whole bunch of crystals or all that stuff. No, you're going to learn how to work with your mind and work with what you already have. The eating is going to get taken care of as well. We'll talk about food and chakras. For October, I'm really excited because we get to talk about all the creep stuff like sex magic and mediumship and that sort of thing. So if you have any questions or anything you want to talk about, feel free to put it below. If you have not joined my Patreon, I'll put the link in the channel thingy, whatever that is, below for you to join as well, because it's going to be a good fucking time. Thanks, guys.